What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of HVAC R&D with Rhydon and Dennis. We got Rhydon here tonight. We're gonna be cover some myths, some HVAC myths that I get. As y'all know, I'm tech support and trainer. Rhydon's in sales. He's got some myths too. We're gonna go over just some stuff that we kind of grew up with that you think's the right way. 20-year guy tells you it's that, and you just go with it. Some stuff that I kind of found out on my own hard way. But we'll go over that. And of course, we're going to cover, we may touch on aftermath of the fat guy on the ropes course. That was our last episode. Got to check on Rhydon and see how he got over that.
My shins still hurt.
I still can't believe we didn't get a video of that. Of course, we'll cover some more stuff about life and things we come across in the HVAC world. So without further ado, get my son Corey to kick the old intro music.
What's up, everybody? Rhydon here. So like Dennis said, there was, some residual irritation from the ropes course. I'll say that. My shins were bruised up pretty good from, I don't even know what to call that one obstacle.
I was going to say, what'd you hit your shins on?
So the very first obstacle is just like a basic, climb up a wall. That's the easiest one.
Yep.
And then you walk kind of across a bridge that wobbles back and forth. And then the third one, it's another kind of ropes bridge, but it's like these big, I'd say probably 6-inch diameter cylinders, and they're hanging with ropes on each end. And you kind of work down about 6 of them as they, and then you have to work back up the other side. So it kind of, if you were looking at it from the side, it kind of goes down and up like a wide V.
Right.
The headache is, when you're momentum, you step on one and immediately it just starts swinging forward. So then you come swinging backwards and you hit the one that's behind you. So then it swing, it's like those little, you always see like the 5 little suspended metal balls people have, and they, ping them back and forth. Well, so my shins were what's getting pinged back and forth between the ones in front of me and behind me the whole time, because my fat hind end, I moved from one to the other, and it's, here we go, flying into the one in front of me and behind me. And it's not so bad going down, but it's when you're trying to go back up the next side. As soon as you push forward, you knock the one in front of you up a little bit, and when it comes back, since it's shorter than the other one, it slams you right in the shin. So I'm sitting there, trying to not swing back and forth so much, and at the same time, I'm trying to like turn one leg halfway a little bit in front of the other one so it just didn't obliterate my shin every time it hits me.
So the takeaway on that is
don't be a fat guy and get on the ropes course.
Still fat, still out of shape.
Still fat, still out of shape. But now Dee's looking good. Dee's been in the gym the last 6 weeks again now?
Yeah, I feel like I started September 1st. The COVID got on me, man. The quarantine.
The quarantine, Billy.
The quarantine alcohol got on me.
The quarantine 15, so the freshman 15.
Yeah, man, I think I was probably heaviest I've ever been. I mean, I'm 5'10", and I think I hit 215 maybe a little more, and it just doesn't sit well on me.
I feel you.
So yeah, September 1st, I go to the gym at least 3 days a week. I go at 4 though, so I get up at 4. I go from 5 to 6. I just can't go in the afternoon, man. I can't. I can't get in the mood. I got too much life stuff going on.
I know. I miss that was one of the one things I missed about working out so much. Um, Used to when I worked
I can't
for my
work out at
dad's
home.
business. Well, I'd get done. I got done at 5 working, with dad's business when I was running the office, and then I grew up. I grew up in a little bitty tiny town, and
Right.
most all of us that had played some kind of sport in high school and was friends with the right people, they would they'd give us keys to the middle school weight room. So I mean, I'd leave
Yep.
the office and go straight to the middle school and lift every day. I'd usually meet
That'd be sweet.
my childhood best friends, either Eric or Corey, or one of us would end up being there all at the same time every afternoon. So it was like being halftime was like being back in high school again.
Yeah, I'm trying not to hit it like so hard that I get burnt out. I'm just trying to change just something to maintain, just lifestyle, just going in. Of course, I couldn't get in there, obviously, during the big quarantine. The gym wasn't open.
Well, hell, the rate we're going, it might not be again here soon.
I know.
What a
Yeah, I mean,
mess.
just pushing a little weight around just makes you feel better. Of course, we try to do these podcasts at night, and by 8:30, man, I'm drifting, and I'm like, God, I just couldn't do it. I can't go. I can't start it right now. I'll fall asleep.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I was wanting to go over some myths. I say myths. These are just things. As a tech guy now, a lot of tech guys beat up technicians. You should know that. You should know that. Why don't you know that? Why are you calling me for that? Of course, if it was like that, I wouldn't have a job, right? So, it's job security for one. But once I got on this side of the industry, I realized I got a little time to read up on it or research on it. It's weird when you're in the field. You just don't think about research and stuff. You get home, you're just done. I don't think a lot of tech guys understand that, or tech support guys. They just think you're supposed to know it, but that's just not what the industry is.
Well, I think at times, guys that have come out of the field, and if some of them don't do a good job of remembering what it was like to be there.
Right.
You're still fresh, and the biggest challenge for you is just constantly remaining with that same mindset, which I think because
Oh yeah.
and you do a lot more job sites than any tech guy that I've seen, and that's not really due to equipment problems, but there's a lot of times where you will go out and you'll just support a business owner wanting to take a look and see if their guys need some pointers, anything they want to look at. There's a lot of things that you've brought to the table now that we didn't have before, and I
Yeah, I
feel
mean,
like
I'd
you're
rather
kind of
do that than
you're kind
sitting
of
at a desk.
redefining your role in this industry.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. It's I'd rather do that than sit at a desk. Of course, I'd rather sit in a desk than go in an attic all day. But um, so yeah, I was gonna touch on. So first thing I want to touch on, Ryan's got some notes here as always. Of course, I'm looking at the end here, and it says tech guys are great dice shooters.
Oh yeah, we're
So
gonna talk
I might have
about
to get
D's
on that.
prowess at the craps table later. Stay tuned.
All right, so we got PSC motors never break. Um,
That's a good starter.
yeah, right. Yeah, so I don't know. You can maybe go through the dates. I'm terrible with the dates on. Of course, we know PSC motors cannot be put in furnace or air handlers anymore. Um, but I get the older guys. I'm 38, but I get the older guys that when they're in the branch and it's shop talk, we're at the counter and they bringing back an ECM motor or constant torque for a warranty, and they're like, "Man, these things just suck, man. These things, which we're still working on it. You know, when I say we, I mean just the industry is still working on getting some pretty solid variable speed motors or ECM motors um, that'll withstand moisture. You know, on an air handler, but um, on a PSC motor, when you put it under stress or the static pressure goes up, right? It doesn't know what's going on. It's not smart. It just turns. So when that pressure is pushing back on it, it will slow down or hunt, as some guys say. It'll kind of like it's slipping almost. Um, but if you take an amp meter and put it on that, when that's happening, the amp draw goes down.
Yeah.
So, what's going to happen next is it's going to last forever. It's basically as the filter gets dirty, in 3 months, or somebody closes a damper, or let's just say it's a zone system and stuff's cutting on and off. Amp draw is going to go down. Next thing you know, the motor's it's working half as hard, and it lasts forever. I've changed out some GE motors, 3 years ago that were 30 something years old.
Yeah.
In a furnace. I'm like, Jesus. But an ECM motor, which that's the other kind of myth, right? Like, I mean, what do you hear, guys? I know you get it all the time. Guys call you, they want to price equipment. They get them all confused, man. What I mean,
oh, they get them confused, and then the other thing I hear a lot of times too, with a PSC motor, they want old reliable, because like you said, they in a lot of cases they've not seen it, in the same environment you put them in to make them see it in a training class.
right.
That's what they always used when they learned what they learned, and that's just what they're comfortable with. They don't like the thought of, a motor that a computer is even more involved with taking over a process. So I think there's a bit of technology frustration there.
Yeah, the change. Most people don't like change, but
Yep.
HVAC has been stale for a long time. PSC
Yeah.
motors, pistons, beer can cold.
Well,
Like,
you say
those
piston.
days are just gone.
Yeah, you
I
say
mean,
pistons. That's the other thing, because with ECM motors, in a lot of cases, when everything was PSC, you had to have a TXV indoor and outdoor to make 14 SEER to rate in the Southeast. There's no way around it. Well,
right.
now, when you get, about a SEER boost or a little bit more, because the base model is now an ECM motor, a lot of times what's typically would have been a 14 SEER mashup before, now that the base furnace has that ECM motor in it and you have TXVs, you're getting 15, 16 SEER on everything 3 ton and under of the brand we sell, even with a base system. So,
Oh yeah.
but that's another thing guys don't realize. Like, well, why am I paying more for it? I said, well, you're actually getting you're getting a higher efficient system than you even realize. So now I've started to have people ask me, well, since I've got the ECM motor, can't we just put a piston in the coil and drop it back to 14?
Yeah, I mean, if here's the thing, if whether TXVs suck or not, I mean, you might as well embrace it. I mean, I'll be honest, if I was in the field, I'd be looking forward to variable speed everything and electronic expansion valves. Then the only thing we're really troubleshooting a lot of times is the thermistors that drive all these. They're easy to change, unplug a thermistor and change it out. But because on a variable speed motor, and when I say ECM is the type that's an ECM can be a constant torque or it can be a variable speed.
Or constant volume, however you want to call it.
Yeah. So constant torque is exactly what it is. Like on the air handler, you got 5 speeds. We'll just use an air handler example, right? It's got a constant torque. So tap 1 is this torque volume. Tap 2 is this torque percentage. Tap 3 is this torque percentage, right? And it goes up. So when static pressure goes up, or you close a duct and you got pressure pushing down on that motor, it can sense that, and it will work harder to maintain whatever that plug you got it in. Like if your speed tap is in 5, you got your wire on 5, and that's 90% torque.
Yeah.
It's gonna try to maintain that. That does not mean it spins faster.
Exactly.
That means it's going to work harder to maintain that torque. So it's going to push harder to maintain that, which what happens? The amp draw goes up.
Yep.
Like substantially. Especially on a zone system that ain't set up right, which I mean you see more of what guys are changing out. They're calling you in price jobs.
Yeah. I
When
see.
you take a PSC job out furnace and you throw in a constant torque and it's zoned,
Yep.
that motor's probably coming back to the branch in a year.
Even a constant torque that's not zoned. If
Right.
they're put in
Well,
a terrible static situation, which I'll tell you, in our market, there is not saying anywhere else probably has any better ductwork from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but in Charlotte, it's horrible. In most places around
yeah.
Charlotte, it is absolutely just junk.
Georgia wasn't no better. I mean, the thing is, nobody wants to sell a duct job, or they
No,
can't. Of course, we got a lot in this industry. We got a lot of HVAC guys that are techs, and they're not salesmen because they're technicians. But it's becoming a time where I wish they could really sell. Not to rip people off, but duct jobs are. I mean, when you start talking about TXVs reacting to the motors that are reacting, like it's not apples to apples anymore on a change out.
no, it's not.
The Man, I went to so many calls as a technician here in Charlotte. I was just a technician here for 7 months, but I'd go out to a call and I'd be like the 5th or 6th guy there with our company.
Yeah.
Like, well, he did this. Well, he changed the TXV. Well, he changed the TXV too. The homeowner's giving me the rundown. I'm like, geez, okay. And all I would get out of my van is a manometer.
Yeah.
Because I got to check the static pressure first. And every time it was either super high in the supply side and the cold air was just backing up, because they said it would freeze up. Or it was just struggling on the return like crazy. And of course, then it's overcharged. It just goes on and on and on.
Yep.
And that's that training class I've been given, man. These guys it's just 2 hours, but so after 5 branches, just a recap on that. After 5 branches, probably I don't know, 50 something people total. I had like 5 guys that owned a manometer.
Sounds about right.
Owned a manometer, right? I had like the rest of them, not only did they not own a manometer, they didn't even know what it was. One guy would say, yeah. And well, out of the 5 guys, right? Like 2 of them said, yeah, I got one of those. I use it to check gas pressure. Like he didn't even know it would check the airflow. And that's the thing. And that's where I was getting back to the tech support guys. I mean, they're just beating up on these guys, but he learned from that guy who learned from that guy who learned from that guy. And, 60 years of experience, they just get lucky. I mean, I think we get lucky a lot in this industry, man. We do a change out and we cross our fingers and it works and it's good. We go to the next one and we're like, yeah, we did that last time. It worked great. But yeah, I think going to variable speed, everything is going to help us on sizing. It's gonna, I don't know when that's coming. It's not far off.
And I've got a few guys that, luckily there's a few of them that sell a decent bit of at least our single stage variable speed stuff, especially on the heat pump side.
Right.
Because I mean, constant torque in a furnace is one problem. Constant torque in a heat pump's a whole nother. I honestly see more issues with heat pump constant torque motors than I do furnaces, and
Well, because
we're
yeah,
pretty
the pull
mixed.
through,
Yeah,
and they were, when they first come out, which has been a long time, when they first came out, um, whether it was Nidec or Gentech or whoever it was, or the moisture from just a saturated coil, right, which led us to airflow and led us to charging, like it all leads back. But yeah, the moisture going into that that module and that motor, it didn't like that. Didn't like it at all.
no,
Of course, when I go to each branch and look at the warranty pile, we got TXVs and we got motors. Um,
mm-hmm.
how much of that is misdiagnosis? Of course, we got a ton of boards. It's always the board, right? I
Yep,
mean, just change the board out. I have guys that call me and go, I've already, when they call me, it's bad.
yeah,
So
because they've already
I
went
always
through
say, well,
six
what did you
people
change
there.
already? So what can I rule out? Well, I've changed the board. I've changed the flame sensor. Changed the pressure switch. It's still doing it. Did you check
Yeah.
the gas pressure? Oh, crap. We don't even have any gas pressure. Huh.
Hmm.
Oh, they got the gas turned off. They didn't pay the bill.
Well, and that, and I mean, there's so many times where I think guys are just pushed to get from call to call to call to call as fast as they possibly can. That the first thing they see that they think is the problem, they get lucky, like you said, fix it and move on, not realizing that there's something that's maybe causing that to be the problem. They don't go past, they don't go deep enough. I don't feel like a lot of times anymore.
No, I mean, I got to where when I was doing service, like you gotta double check and double check again and back it up. I mean, if you're working for a company that wants you to do 7-8 calls a day, which I've been there, um, unless they're in the same neighborhood and they're all capacitors, like that's too many calls.
Yeah,
Um, in the summer, I mean, I get it, man. It's time to make the money, but when you change a part and you have to go back 3 more times because you still can't figure it out, you ain't made no money
no,
because you can't just keep charging.
nope,
Because now you can't figure it out. Um, yeah, I mean, four calls a day, 5 calls a day. And if you're done early or whatever and you want to grab another one, that's fine. But yeah, I think that, of course, that's a whole nother podcast. Trying to manage, HVAC company. A lot of these guys are just, all this money comes at them in the summer, man. And it's, most of these are tech guys. They're not, business people. So it doesn't work.
that's true.
But that's what we're here for, trying to help them out. Um,
I run into that all the time because I've got some guys that are really just super good guys. They're really good to their employees, but you know, my father, prime example, he just he didn't have business experience really. No, that's not me saying he never knew anything about business. Um,
right.
but the background and his education was he was Navy veteran.
Well, he's
Have
technical.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah
hands
it's
on.
technical hands on. Happy Veterans Day to everybody listening.
Yep.
This is going to get posted way later than Veterans Day, but I'll say it before I forget.
Yeah. Right.
Um, he was Navy, shipyard, oil rig, chemical plant, HVAC business. There was
Right.
no, in any of those jobs he was in, he was either supervisor or an employee. He wasn't a business owner
Yeah, he wasn't doing the
until the
books.
very end. So it's, these guys, they learn a great trade and they learn a great skill. The headache is a lot of times they don't always know the business side of it, and then that starts leading to a lot of bad habits in the beginning.
Right.
Um, and it's just, and then one of the biggest things I hear all the time is a lot of guys just think sales guys are crooks. Well, some are. I'll be
Yeah.
honest, some are. We dealt with some that we bought from. Um,
Right.
but that's unfortunately that's going to be it. I got into this side of the business one because I felt like I'd already had a career in the field. Um,
Right.
by the time I was 24, I was worn out. I wanted to do something a little bit different. Um, I wanted Chris and I to be able to kind of get out and go build our own life instead of just staying where we were. Um, but my biggest takeaway from looking at it from the other side was I wanted a salesperson to come in and help me be better, help me learn things better. There were so many.
Right.
I mean, even just with equipment, product knowledge, which is where we talk about these 8-hour death by PowerPoint classes for product. Sometimes, every now and then, it would be nice if I actually got to do a true, 1-2 hour product course to really just let guys know what's in the stuff. Because I think there's a lot of situations that guys get into. I had a contractor yesterday that had, a real headache with trying to figure out how to deal with a 30-year-old pancake system in a business. And
Wow.
luckily, I've got that side of experience too. So I left and went to the job site for the guy's installer just to try to help them kind of take a look at it from a different perspective. But I wanted to be able
Yeah.
to
I mean,
add value on all sides.
I think a lot of, not all sales guys in HVAC for a distributor have had that background.
No,
I mean, I guess you just hope you get one. Of course, I know you run loads for guys and stuff like that, just helping them out, giving them ideas on, because you've been there, you've done that, and
yeah.
that's what you need to find as a,
Well, and
especially if you're just getting into this, you need to find a distributor with somebody that can help you out.
I'll tell you another reason that I try a lot of times to really dig into how guys do installs too is also because I know that if I can get them more accustomed to even thinking about putting it in right, that's less headaches you and I are both going to have for the next 10 years with that
Right.
system when it goes in. Um,
Oh yeah, I'm still going to get. I mean, we're still going to get fly
oh,
by
we're going to get it.
nighters. Chuck in a truck, still cruising around. Because guess what? A guy walk into the branch and he might look like a Chuck in a truck, but then he's literally just asking for some help. Maybe it's him and one guy, and in 2 or 3 years, that guy could be massive. So you don't really know day to day who's coming in, what they could be. Of
No,
course, he could be a huge pain in the ass too. But
it happens. You
um,
never know.
so one of the other myths that I think is just crazy. I mean, these things that we learn about in this industry, and you think, man, I did this for so long and I didn't know how that worked. Um, it kind of blows my mind because I did the same thing. But the flame sensor, the old magic flame rod.
Hmm.
The guy replaced Steve. I can't remember how he said it, but he said, yeah, I think every time he said when they bring the flame sensor in, I'm going to clean it up and put it back on the shelf and just charge them again for it. And he said, we'll make a killing in this place. Uh, if the ceramic's not cracked on that thing, it's just a steel rod, right?
Yep.
So of course it's wintertime now. We're getting in the well, not today. It was 80 something degrees, but what is it? November. It's the 11th. Yeah, it was steamy out there today. But so last week I was getting a couple heat calls, and I get at least 2 a week when it starts. Furnace comes on, it lights, the burners go, and it pops right out, and it starts back over again, right? So I take the flame sensor out, we clean it, stick it back in, same thing.
Yep.
Take it back out, bring it to the branch. I need a flame sensor. This one's not any good. Now, how do we check that? Right? The system says it couldn't sense flame. Well, yeah, I mean, why is that, right? How does it even do that? So, of course, while he's there, he grabs a board too, because it's got to be the board, right? So he takes it back, swaps the flame sensor, swaps the board, fires it up, pops out. Same thing. So the guy that called me he was an older guy. He sounded like he's probably in his late 40s. Super nice guy. Calls me all the time just to bounce stuff off me, right? And I said, what is your voltage on the flame rod itself? And he's like, excuse me? And I'm like, that flame rod has got 90 volts on it. It should have 90 volts. I've seen them work all the way down to 60. But a good training board or, a brand new system with a good electrical, going to it, you should have 90 volts. So I said, take your meter, put it on alternating current, just regular volts, right? High voltage, touch one lead to ground and touch the flame rod with your meter. And I heard it beep on the phone. He's like, dude, I got like 89 volts on this rod. I'm like, right. So the way he's like, I didn't know that was there. I'm like, well, a lot of people don't. So when that furnace lights and those flames hit that voltage sitting on that rod, there's no amps there. It's just volts.
Yep.
It's almost like an outlet in the wall, right? With nothing plugged into it. When those flames hit that flame rod, it turns into its flame rectification happens right then. So it's a, positive, negative electrons, blah, blah, blah. So negative DC voltage then comes back through the burner bar, because it's metal there, back to ground. If you ever notice, there's a little ground wire screwed to your burner bar there. So it goes back through ground, back to the board. So that DC is microamps DC. It's the little U and a DC on your meter there, which a lot of meters don't have it. But that signal should be anywhere from 2.5 to 4 volts or microamps DC. That's what lights up the little flame sensor light. So if you look, when you're hooking up the high voltage on your furnace, on the cover, the wire cover where you wire nut everything together, it says loose neutral or bad ground will cause furnace not to sense flame. So when they got a flame sense problem, I always say go back to the voltage, the high voltage there, redo your wire nuts, check the switch, keep going back, check the panel, make sure all the grounds and all the neutrals are tight. And they usually don't call me back. So it's kind of crazy how it's just, I could literally take a coat hanger, put 90 volts on it, stick it in there, and it'll sense flame. You know what I mean? It's just a steel rod. So don't clean it with a dollar bill. I don't know where that got. I heard that from an old guy.
I have heard that one before, and I hadn't yet to understand it at all.
So if you're going to clean it, like literally I cleaned mine with the sandpaper that I cleaned my copper with. Like sand the shit out of it. It's just steel.
That gets any of that carbon buildup off of it. So
yeah, I mean, if you put your meter in line and put it on microamps DC, when that flame hits that rod, you can see it on your meter. And if you've got like 1.2, then either the rod's dirty or you don't have enough voltage going to it, which could be loose connection or bad neutral. Or I've literally seen a house that was so old that the ground rod outside, driven into the ground, was rusted off.
oh, jeez.
Right? And now this flame sensor, now the furnace won't sense flame. I mean,
How
how
long did it take you to figure that one out?
Well, once you get calls like this, I mean, I always tell them start going back. Start at your furnace, then go to your switch or your disconnect or your breaker, and keep going back. and you may find it. Of course, we had a guy that temporarily, somebody went, it was, I don't know why, but he plugged the furnace in with a drop cord temporarily. Winter came around, wouldn't sense flame because he didn't have a ground on the drop cord. Because I guess he was having some electrical work done. But now, if it's not coming off the board, if the voltage is not coming off the board and everything else is where it should be, then yeah, you could have a board issue, right? But, God, as soon as it got cold, I got like 4 of those right out of the gate. But typically it's an older furnace, you know what I mean? 7, 8 years old. It's not something new. Or I always say, well, how old is the house? Oh, they're like, oh, it's just, this thing's old as crap, dude. It's like 100 years old. I'm like, well, go outside and see if there's a ground rod.
Yeah. Let's tackle this one first.
Yep, let's do that first. But yeah, that's a good one there. I mean, I'm telling you, 70 to 80%, if not higher, don't know that voltage is there. And they say it's millivolts or it's weird how that stuff, it's like a rumor. It just keeps traveling. It just keeps going and going and going. And, it's all because we don't want to learn the right way. We just want to learn from the guy that trained us because he's got to know. He's been doing it 40 years.
Yep.
And I hate to be that guy that constantly tries to, debunk that guy, but if it's wrong, it's wrong. I mean, it's what it is. But
well, we're talking about things that kind of are falling down the electrical line of things. Another thing we hear a lot, and I'm sure you hear it too, is people that haven't used our brand of equipment before, but they've used Goodman or any other brand.
Oh God, I know where you're going.
You know
with
exactly
this.
where I'm going with this. You get that call back the day they're putting it in that afternoon. And like, man, this compressor's bad. It's running backwards. Or you get just something random.
Right.
And it's the first thing they've put in. You're like, dude, what now? They're like, well, every time I try to go into heat, it starts to cool. And every time I try to go to cool, it starts to heat. And I said, well, what did you wire it to? Is it to B or to O? And I'll let you do the full technical jargon of that. But, the biggest thing is, our brand energizes a reversing valve and heat. And what a lot of people don't know.
Oh, they're going to know what brand we are now.
Who cares?
Well, so
we could be one of, what is there, like 6 of them now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I can't keep up with all the brands now, man.
We could be discussing commercial. You don't know.
That's right.
But no, it's
so
people think it's dumb.
When heat pumps came out, like it was it's a South thing, right? I mean, we got heat pumps up north now because we can get more heat out of them, especially mini splits. But as far as just a 10 SEER or whatever, when it come out, the idea was to energize the reversing valve in heat, because if it failed or it was stuck and it couldn't go into heat, you would have electric strips as your backup, right? Because you're in the South. Electric strips would be fine.
Yep.
Should it energize in cooling? So on the stat, you're going to see an O and a B, right? O, obviously get colors out of your head. O is going to energize that wire in cooling, 24 volts. On a B terminal, it's going to energize it on heat. So depending on the brand and how the reversing valve works, with our brand, we put it on B because we want 24 volts there in heat mode. So you put it in heat, the valve. Now, the other thing a lot of guys don't realize is when you put the thermostat on heat, right? No call for heat. You just click it over to heat.
Yep.
When you do that, it energizes that reversing valve right then. But you're usually inside and you don't hear it click.
Yep.
And it stays energized. Now, pressure obviously is what moves our valve, not just that clicking. That's just the piston moving in that valve. But once the unit fires up, pressure slides the valve into heat, right? And you're good. And then when you go back to cooling, it's good. It just de-energizes and stays de-energized all summer. On the other brands, right, when they get a call on yellow for cool, energizes the valve in cooling, system gets satisfied, yellow drops off, the valve goes back. So all summer it's boom, boom, it's back and forth, back and forth. Now, in the South, if we were to energize that valve in cooling and it failed, we don't have backup cooling.
Nope. And that's
the fan and the windows open doesn't cut it. So, which in the South, where we are, that is the total wrong way to do it. You got to energize it in heat. It just makes sense.
Well, and when heat pumps came out, every brand did it that way.
Right, that's what I mean, yeah.
And my only guess is maybe they switched away from it, because they were starting to sell more heat pumps, in different markets that actually needed it to energize, or it would energize less than cooling. I don't know, but I feel like South is still the predominant heat pump market in the country. Even though it's 14 SEER nationwide, it's the only thing that has a nationwide SEER mandate as opposed to others. But
right. Well, the thing, like when I'm doing class, right, doing a heat pump class, I go, all right, so the reversing valve, and some dude always goes, yeah, y'all do it the wrong way. I'm like, no, there's just two ways.
Yeah.
No, we do it the wrong way because you used to put in this brand and now you put this brand in, and you're like, damn it, I got to switch now. Because there's that change again.
That quarter of an inch to the left or right when you put that wire in the thermostat, it's going to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, I tell the younger guys too. I'm like, look, don't get hung up on color. Like, if you're an installer, I don't care what you use. If you're putting in a system that brown is common, because I love that. I'm like, what's common? And they all go blue, and I'm like, no, blue's not common. Blue is just blue.
Yep.
Common is whatever the brand's using for common. It might be black, right?
Yep.
So put a black on it. Put black to black. Why can't we just line them up?
Yep.
They put in Goodman, so they use orange as the reversing valve. Then they put a root in that day, or a ream. They put orange on the blue wire. Just use blue.
Yeah.
Like, whatever whatever the brand's using is what I use. So typically that's an installer that doesn't do service, because if you do service, you're already, trying to troubleshoot. And when they start mixing colors, it's like, God almighty, what?
No, it's
just
no
rip
fun.
it out. Yeah, I mean, I was real bad about just unwiring the whole thing and starting over. A lot of times it fixed it. I'm just like, all right, here we go, we're good. Yeah, I think that's most of the myths that I come across.
I think,
of course.
Well, I was gonna say.
Oh, I see here. Yeah, we don't work for the factory either.
Yeah, we don't work for the factory. We work with the factory. We don't work for them. I think the other one is, I've had some issues where a guy's put a system in and he gets a new inspector, and it's one, everybody's had that inspector that shows up and he finds your install install guide.
Yep.
And he's going through that thing with a fine-tooth comb so that he can find something.
Yeah, because if he don't, then he's just not doing his job.
And I've had some people you know, there's a few things, and I don't want to name them off because I don't want someone looking for that to be the next problem if they're an inspector listening to this. Not giving you fuel, boys. But it was something really, really simple. It's it's your interpretation of how you read the way it is worded. It's you
Yeah,
know these manuals are written in a bit more technical jargon a lot of times because it's an engineer writing it,
right.
and it comes down to a matter of opinion. And there's and contractors like, well, this guy says I've got to do this. Will you go and get me a letter from the factory saying I don't have to do this?
No, they're not touching
That's not
that.
happening. It's just not gonna happen. They're not gonna
The
do it.
letter from the factory is the install manual.
Yeah, that's why it's 120 pages, and they published it and put their name all over it. That's your letter.
So the one I've got right now brewing, poor contractor, um, is massive warehouse, right?
Yep.
50, 60-foot roof on this thing. We got offices. I don't know how many square feet, 50,000, or actually probably more than that, 100,000. We got a little set of offices in the middle of the warehouse, and they've got an outdoor unit sitting on top of the offices, like a mezzanine.
Yep.
Um, Heat pump. He put the heat pump in a pan, in case it was to sweat or defrost. Right, drains down into a drain. He's got a float switch on that. Because he took one out and put this one in.
Yep.
Took an old one out. Right, got an air handler in the office, a little 1.5 tons or whatever it was.
Now I know we talked about this before. I didn't realize it was retrofit. I thought it was new, and
Yeah,
they were
there's
trying.
4 more in there that are still need to
Jeez,
be changed out. So
jeez.
inspector comes out and says, I can't pass this. It says on the data plate of the unit, the outdoor unit, outdoor use only. Here we are in a warehouse that's non-conditioned. Of course, he calls me, right? I work for the factory.
Yep.
No, I do not. I work for a distributor. He calls me and he says, hey, can you talk to this inspector? And I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to go over all this legal in my head that I'm going to screw up.
Yeah.
I said, sure, throw him on the phone there. I'll talk to him. I don't care. I get the inspector on the phone and he says, yeah, everything looks good, but the outdoor unit, it says outdoor use only. And I said, well, we do require 50-inch clearance above the outdoor unit and 6 inches around the coil. Of course, 24 on the access panel. You got to be able to squat down and work on it, right? So 24 inches there. But he said, yeah, I mean, there's like 40 feet above this thing, and it's just up on this office here, and there's plenty of room around it. But it's in a warehouse. And I'm like, okay, is the warehouse conditioned? He said, no. What little heat we're gonna blow off the top of that thing, is it gonna heat the warehouse up? He said, no. I said, okay. What's the issue? I'm trying to be nice to him, to help the contractor. He said, well, it says outdoor use. And I said, well, and this is like you said, right? How do you interpret it? Well,
Exactly.
they put that so that it's not installed in the conditioned space that the air handler is in.
Correct.
I mean, you can't put it in the same room,
Yeah. What are
right?
you gonna do? Here, I'm gonna put this big condenser in the living room. I mean, where do you want me to put the thing?
I mean, that brings me to another service call of mine, but
Ooh,
so
might have to go to
I
that
said,
next. We'll
man,
move the DD33 story to another episode.
yeah. So I said, man, he said, well, that's not what it says. And I said, well, I understand that. But he said, well, if you could just get something from the factory, get a letter from the factory. And I knew that was going to get shot down. So I called the factory and I said, hey, got a unit, needs to get inspected. It's in a warehouse. Of course, what does he say? How much room's above it? How much room's around it? Is it conditioned? No. He said, "What's good?" I'm like, "Yeah, could you just write that down and send it to me?" No, can't do it. I was like, he said, "Nah, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole, man." I'm like, because if they tell that guy, you got to look at it from their end too.
Mm-hmm.
If they tell that guy that it's okay, then people will start putting units inside the house.
Yeah.
Outdoor unit being the living room. I mean, it sounds retarded, but they can't. It's got So this guy is still. This has probably been a month. They won't pass it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's done. Like, he's bought the equipment, he's put it in. He can't get paid. So he said, if I get an outside engineer to say that this is okay, will y'all pass it? And they said, well, yeah, we'll probably pass it then. He pays $700, gets an engineer, writes this long letter, and of course the whole time in the letter, in my opinion,
Yeah,
in my opinion,
well, he's the engineer. You're doing this because they wanted his opinion.
Right. They didn't pass it.
Oh,
He's like, well, somebody's giving me a refund on this money.
Well, that makes sense. If they're saying, hey, we need a letter to pass it, and you get them that, and they don't pass, that's ridiculous.
This is Winston-Salem. He's going to have to go to the board. And somebody passed that other one.
Yeah.
I wonder if that other one's inspected. Yeah, or filed. Yeah, I mean, I told him, I said, man, I can't help you any further. I mean, because I don't work for the factory. I mean, I can't. He said, can you just give me like a letterhead? I said, no, dude, I'm out.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear you say that.
Yeah. No,
I mean, he's just trying to get. He's just trying
to get it figured out. But at that point, it's just time to call Dale. Call up Dale Dawson.
So before I forget, putting the outdoor unit in the living room. So that didn't actually happen. But
oh, dang it.
I did. Oh, it was close. I went to a call in Atlanta, rough area. Of course, it was a no cool call. So, okay, you got no air. I walk up, knock on the door. I walk in, shut the door, and it was like really, really humid in the house. Like 3 times more humid in the house than it was outside. God, that just feels really sticky in here. And I'm like, well, what's going on? They're like, yeah, the air's out. We went and got a window unit, but that thing ain't working either.
Oh gosh.
I look over. They took the window unit out of the box, set it on the box, and plugged it in.
Set it on the box and plugged it in.
And the carpet was drenched.
Oh, God.
And it was blowing hot air out the back just in the room.
Yeah. It's conditioned.
So the condenser was in the room. I didn't even know what to say. I was like, yeah, I'll just start working on your other unit here.
Yes, because that's not going to work.
They're like, man, that thing's blowing air out. It's blowing cold air, but it's just not cooling down in here. Yeah, because it's blowing hot air out the back. The window unit, like, you can't fix that.
See, at first I was waiting for that to be a window unit on a Porta-John job or something.
That'd be sweet. That'd be something I would build right there.
I saw that. I saw a picture of one of those the other day. We'll have to use it in an HVAC R&D ad at some point.
I like the window unit. There's a meme on like HVAC hacks. It's got the window unit in the car, and the generator is ratchet strapped to the trunk.
Yep, I've seen that one.
And it's run.
Then I saw another one the other day. The guy they'd cut the glove compartment box out and everything, and they mounted a window unit there.
We used to say, put it on Snowflake. Just turn it right over to Snowflake.
Yep.
2 snowflakes or 3. I just heard mine kick on outside. The old Goodman. By the way, on our intro music, that is literally my outdoor unit. It's struggling.
We had one night, I think we caught mine from 3 stories up banging
Oh,
on
I
this
could hear.
episode.
Yeah, I don't want to beat Goodman up, but man, they start hard. It's not that they start hard; they start loud.
Yeah.
That's their signature, man. Every time I hear that now, I keep waiting for the intro music to come in.
No, I was waiting for it right then. I was like, oh, just kidding. We ended the show and you didn't know.
All right, so you got any more myths?
No, I think I'm about mythed out. HVAC R&D Mythbusters episode 1 done.
We'll have to save the dice shooter for another one.
Yeah, we definitely need to do. We should either do that one in the next few days or when I get back because I'm getting ready to go
We
to
could
Vegas
probably
anyway.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're going to me and Rhydon are big dice players. Craps. I love playing some craps.
Me too.
Hopefully we'll get some stories from you when you get back. Maybe we'll bring Zach on and we'll just have a big old
We'll just
rant.
have a big old party.
So, all right. Well, thanks for listening, guys, and hopefully you got something out of that. Like I said, I'm gonna try to bring some more technical stuff to this if I can stay on topic. But sometimes we just can't. But Rhydon gets back from Vegas. We'll see what we can get into there, and see you next time.
Have a good one, everybody.